Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest transfer news, Manchester United transfer news, and two big stories to discuss tonight, as apparently Brentford are looking for £70 million for Bryan Mbeumo, and Watford and Aston Villa, not Watford, Aston Villa are looking or starting the bidding at £60 million for Ollie Watkins. So two big stories tonight to discuss. Would you walk away from either? Would you walk away from one? Or would you walk away from both? Look, interesting stuff. Also, a few other bits coming in around Jadon Sancho, around the midfield. And remember last night, we had about 40 minutes of your fantastic conversation topics. So hopefully you're going to make it easy for me and come up with loads of stuff as well. But these are two big stories tonight. One coming in from Laurie Whitwell, one coming in from the Mirror around Ollie Watkins as well, who were asking for £60 million from Arsenal in January, to be fair. So it's a starting point a few months later. We'll talk about that. But yeah, incredible. I have an interesting take on the Mbeumo stuff, though. You might agree, you might disagree. I actually think Brentford are in the right, and I think United are trying to spin this to make themselves look good. But I'll explain why in a moment, and we will get into it. But before we get into it, we are sponsored by Boohooman on the show tonight. You should know what Boohooman is by now, but if you don't, you can get all your clothing delivered to your door on the website. It's got gym wear, five-a-side wear, Netflix and chill wear, t-shirts, underwear, holiday wear, coats, the lot, underwear, everything you need delivered to your door through boohooman.com. You can scan that QR code or go through the link in the description. And the best bit is with the code Goldbridge, you get an extra 10% off. There's a lot of stuff discounted on the website anyway. And if there's something there that's got 50% off, you can still use the Goldbridge code on top. So you can get even better discounts with that code that works across the site. And also, because it's Boohooman, we've got a bit of trivia to start the show off with. Can you name this ex-Manchester United player? I was born on the 1st of August 84 in West Germany. I started my career in 2002 with Bayern Munich. I know it. I joined Man United in 2015, becoming the first German in the first team. I remember the live show. 10 years ago, almost to the day. I remember the live show. 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday, I think it was. I remember. I suffered two significant knee injuries in 2016 that kept me sidelined for most of the season. After Jose became manager, I was controversially demoted to train with the under-23s, and he was a good lad as well, and Jose stuck him in the under-23s. He wasn't a Sancho, a Rashford, or a Garnacho. In 2017, I made my first start in over a year in the FA Cup fourth round match against Wigan, scoring my first Old Trafford goal with an overhead finish. And in 2017, I moved to Chicago Fire and retired from football in 2019. Of course, it was Schweinsteiger, who I absolutely loved as a player and loved it when we signed him, but we got him at the wrong end of his career. Big thank you to Boohooman for supporting today's show. Don't forget you can get an extra 10% with the code discount. Code Goldbridge as discount. Thank you very much. And that's a very apt who am I, actually, for the show tonight, because that was 10 years ago. And that Schweinsteiger signing feels closer than Mbeumo. But it is the 3rd of July tomorrow. Oh, I'm just saying, before we get into the news, it's the 3rd of July tomorrow. Where's all this, where's all these people who were telling us to calm down in the middle of June? Or the last week of June? Calm down, calm down. I think they're waiting for the 1st of July and then they're going to spend loads of money in a new financial year. Here we go. Here we go. But no, it's not here we go, is it? It's the 3rd of July tomorrow morning and we're doing nothing. Nothing. It's the weekend in 2 days. We could hit the 7th of July and do nothing. Nothing. Anyway, let's hit the first story. This is fresh off the press. So, bit of controversy about what Laurie Whitwell actually said. He's tweeted, I didn't say that. But apparently something along the lines of Man United haven't bid the fee that Brentford want. Brentford are making it higher by the day and are using Tottenham's £70 million valuation as a gauge for what Manchester United should play. We've got the direct quote. This is what he actually says. It's pretty much the same thing, but the wording's slightly different. The second bid that David Ornstein reported, 55 plus 7.5, the same fee as Cunha, wrong. Brentford were pitching for a higher fee than Cunha, given Mbeumo's stats and this idea that Spurs bid 70 million, which was being used by Brentford as a gauge. But Spurs are denying to me and other people that they made a bid, and there's a lot of cloak and counter claims. So I don't really know what Laurie's on about, because obviously it's never nice to be misquoted, but ultimately What he's effectively saying is Brentford wants 70 million because that's a fee that Spurs were quoted, even though Spurs never bid it. And that Brentford have turned down what we paid for Cunha, which is 62 million. I mean, look, on the face of it then, Brentford are upping the price to £70 million and they won't accept what we took for Cunha because he's got better stats than Cunha. The problem with this is, and this is where it gets a little bit sticky for me because, not in a good way, is we can all get in a flap. We can all get in a flap, or we can all have a great show like we did last night where there's loads of questions, loads of back and forth, and we just provide ourselves with a little bit of therapy. Because I could sit here and go, oh my God, we're an absolute joke. What are Brentford doing? Walk away. Oh God. But I'm not going to do that because actually, I think there's a few holes in this story. So the second bid that Man United made of 62.5 million is the same fee we paid for Cunha. But it's not. It isn't. It's 55 plus 7.5 in add-ons. Okay, that adds up to 62.5, but it's 55 with 7.5 in add-ons. We're paying 62 for Cunha. So it's not the same. It's not the same, is it? 55 is not the same as 62. We don't know what those add-ons are. We don't know whether they're achievable. So you can't say that Brentford have rejected what we paid for Cunha because we are not paying the same. We're paying 62 up front for Cunha and 55 was the offer with add-ons for Mbeumo. Secondly, I don't believe Brentford are asking for 70 million quid. I think Brentford are asking for 60 and we haven't offered it. And I think, in my opinion, that what we've got here is a little bit of PR, a little bit of spin to turn this story onto Brentford and away from the real culprits, Manchester United. I think this story is there to make people go, it's Brentford. They keep changing the price. Now they want 70 million. It's Brentford's fault. It's not United's fault they've been negotiating for nearly 3 years. It's Brentford's fault. They keep upping the price. But we've never offered the price that they said from day one. Every outlet reported at the start of June they want 60 million. We haven't offered it. We've offered 55. And I'm pretty sure what this is Brentford wants 70. And when we get in for 60 in about a year's time, we'll be able to go, we got a bargain. They wanted 70, we got 60. That's why we negotiated. I personally think this is just spin out of United to make it look like we've pulled Brentford's trousers down when they accept 60. I don't think for 1 minute Brentford have gone anywhere near 70. I don't think they've gone anywhere near 65. I think they want 60, and we've never offered it. We've offered 55. And I'm not saying that Laurie Whitwell is a mouthpiece for the club, but we do know that client journalism exists, and we do know from previous experience that when James Ducker, Simon Stone, Laurie Whitwell and Samuel Luckhurst put the same story out, we know where it's come from. And it sometimes happens that it all comes out in the same 10 minutes. So they have got ins to the club. We all know we've got to pay £60 million for Mbeumo. And we all know when we do, Man United are going to look a bit shit. So what better way to not look shit than to go, Brentford want 70. We got him for 60. I think that's what's going on. So I'm not stressed. No bad feeling towards Laurie. No bad feeling towards the club. No bad feeling towards Brentford. I personally think they want 60. They've always wanted 60. We're going to pay 60 and he'll be a Man United player. Just don't walk away. And I think this is just part of negotiations because when we pay 60, everyone's going to go, why have we taken 6 weeks to do this deal? And United need to turn this into a win. So a little story that Brentford wanted 70 and you pay 60 suddenly makes us look like master negotiators. I think that's what's going on. Let's wait and see. But I would say don't walk away. Not for me. Don't walk away. Offer 60. What we're talking about 74. Offer 60. You've never offered it. Offered 60. Let's see what happens. My opinion is Brentford do want 70. They know what happened when Ajax played hardball for Anthony. I think we need to learn from that. Rainfall, I just... Let's see what happens when we offer 60 and then we'll see. The harsh reality... Apparently it's third bid today though, isn't it? Wasn't that something someone was talking about this morning? Apparently we're third bidding today. I tell you what, we've still got 3.5 hours left. It can still happen. We'll talk about Watkins next. The harsh reality of it all is we are broke without sales. We have to be the worst club in the entire league for sales and giving stupid contracts. Thank you, Adrian. 70 million is fine, spread over 5 years, says Gary. We shouldn't be spending 70 million pounds. We're not going to spend 70 million pounds. We should have walked away weeks ago about 70 million pounds. If Mbeumo doesn't happen, Ahmad at 10, Delap, Mazraoui at right wing back, then sign midfielder and keep 30 million each, Rios and Martinez, or any two for that same 60 million, says Kent G. Kent, don't do that. Don't give him a way out. No, get Mbeumo, get the midfielder and get the goalkeeper. You know, get them all. If Mbeumo falls through, Ahmad is at 10 and Dumfries at right wing. What are you doing, Red Devil girl? You and Kent should go for a drink together. You know, double date. What are you talking about? You're not the bloody CEO. Stop telling us not to spend the money on the player we should be getting. Absolutely not. Do not walk away from Mbeumo. Probably unpopular, but I'd take pain this year to try and reset. Let Sancho, Garnacho, Rashford, Onana rot and leave them the Mbeumo deal. Image change, as Billy Walsh. Yeah, but I actually do. I mean, these are good comments, but I understand where you're coming from, Billy. I really, really do. And sometimes I feel the same. You know, let them rot in the reserves. Don't buy any players. Let's rough it out. The problem with that is, you and I know, Billy, that the minute the bad results come in next season, and they will, it will be hammer him out. There are already hammer him outers in our fan base. Patience is not a word this football club's got, and that's a very patient approach, and we haven't got it. Walk away and do what, says Mike. Exactly. We take so long to do anything. What's the plan? Waste the whole transfer window. Barada needs his head checked. If his look, Mike makes a really good point about Mbeumo, because I want to talk about Watkins, but Mr. Azure7, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you for getting your badge in and supporting the channel. If you want to join the Members Club, click the join button. But going back to what Mike said there, great points. Great points. Walk away from what? Are we seriously saying that walking away from a deal that we've been working on for over 30 days, which is 4.5 weeks, in a transfer window that's really only 12 weeks long? So we're going to waste a whole third of the transfer window and walk away from it. I said a couple of weeks ago, Brentford have got Man United like this and twist. And you know what I'm talking about, the balls. We've took too long on this to walk away. People need to realise that we don't have time to walk away because we've wasted 5 weeks on it, says Dave. 60 days left to do 12 deals in and out. 5 day deals a day. Won't happen, says Dave. Love this message. James says, Jay and Sarah watching live from the beach in Gran Canaria eating pizza. Love the United stand and watch the shows every day. United. Well, I'm dead jealous. Dead jealous. I'd love to be sat there with you doing it live. Not that, not even eating the pizza, just doing a live show with Jay and Sarah in Gran Canaria. Lovely stuff. People need to realise who we are owned by. Glazers out, we need at least 5 players, says Jay Bignell. And Mario Franco says, if they wanted 70 million, us making a 45 million bid made us look like proper prats. Complete nonsense. We all know what they wanted even before the start of the window. That's my point. I think there's a touch of client journalism going on here. I think this is a bit about the club saying something to a journalist and the journalist putting it out there. Client journalism is when the club says something and the journalist puts it out there without adding any journalism to it. They literally take the story and put it out. A bit like Amazon. You know, you order your package, they deliver it, it's yours. And I think the club have put it out there to Laurie Whitwell and said, they want 70 million. This is why it's going on. You know, there's all this talk of 70 million. We've already offered what they wanted for Cunha. And unfortunately, I don't think Laurie's actually analysed it, because where have Brentford ever said they want 70 million? This has been going on for 4.5 weeks. No journalist has ever said they want 70 million. It's always been 60. So why is it suddenly 75 weeks later? And also, they haven't offered what we're paying for Cunha. We're paying 62 million for Cunha. We've offered 55. Add-ons are irrelevant. Apparently there's add-ons on Mason Mount's deal that we'll never pay because the add-ons are ridiculous. So we can't count add-ons when we don't know what the add-ons are. If the add-ons are wake up tomorrow and breathe oxygen, you're going to pay it, hopefully. If the add-ons are wake up tomorrow and be the Prime Minister of Norway whilst also you know, I can't even think of something, you know, something knocking out a polar bear, you're not going to achieve them in hand-to-hand combat. So I don't believe this story. I don't believe this story. I think Man United are getting a little bit desperate, and they know they're going to pay what Brentford want. And when we pay what Brentford want, we'll all be happy. But I think they're thinking, when we pay 60 million, everyone's going to take the piss out of us because we've took so long on it. So let's spin a story. And I think that's what's going on. I don't get why you say we did not bid the 62 because 5 of them is add-ons. Brentford want easily earned add-ons, which means the add-ons are kind of instalments, says Daniel. Don't know what you're talking about, Daniel, because I've explained it 3 times on this show and about 50 times already. We've offered 55 million plus 7.5 in add-ons. That was our offer. So we haven't offered 57 plus 5. We've offered 55 plus 7.5. We don't know what those add-ons are. You can't add add-ons onto a final fee because the add-ons might never get paid. Some people put add-ons on like 55 million and you'll get an extra 5 if we win the European Cup. Who knows what it is? I don't get... would you take João Felix? No, Dodger. Brentford have just seen João Pedro and Gittins go for 60. Can you blame them, says United Lewis. Look, £60 million for Mbeumo, I think, is a fair price in this market. Especially when we paid 62 for Cunha. It sort of doesn't help us. I mean, the hilarious thing, before we move on to Watkins, about Cunha is we're arguing about paying £60 million for a player who is the same age and had the same season as a guy we've just paid £62 million for. We don't really have a lot of leeway to go, he ain't worth it. Feels like we send our bids by horse and letter, no urgency at all. No clue how we're signing 3 more and clearing the deadwood at this pace, says John. Now, come on, John, that's not fair. We don't send our bids by horse and letter. We actually send them by pigeon, and our pigeons are stupid. So instead of flying from Manchester to London, they actually fly north, and 99% of them don't make it because they freeze over the North Pole. But the ones that do have to basically navigate the whole entire world. They go North Pole, all the way down, South Pole, and then all the way back. That's why it takes so long. And the survival rate's low. Is Holmland on the list of players we're looking at? He would be perfect. I mean, come on, Rajaf, come on. Wake up. We're having a real show here. Team News and Ticks is saying Sesko to Arsenal unlikely, says Rifat. I've never heard of Team News and Ticks, so... Thank you, Mark. I watch the show every day, says Mashari. Ollie would make a good backup striker, but we need a starter first. We should offer 60 million for Mbeumo and get it done. So glad you've said that, because I want to talk about Watkins now. Afi is also talking about Humland from Sporting. I mean, look, Amrin would love Humland from Sporting, but we ain't getting him. People need to realise who we're owned by. Okay, let's move on to the latest story on Ollie Watkins, because there are 2 stories coming out tonight about Ollie Watkins, and this is where we are at on that. First of all, same outlet as the Mbeumo story, Laurie Whitwell. I do think it's linked to Rasmus's future. If he goes, and I'm speaking to people and it feels like it's perhaps more likely than not, even a sale perhaps more likely than loan, I think so. Inter are there firmly. So he's basically saying that the Watkins thing feels like it's linked to Rasmus going. So if Rasmus was to go, then it feels like Watkins would be linked to that. However, David McDonnell in the Mirror is saying that Manchester United have stepped up their interest in Ollie Watkins. Villa want around 60 million for him, but United are unwilling to spend that much on someone with a lack of a resale value. So I find those 2 updates quite disturbing, actually. Why do we need to sell Rasmus to buy Watkins? What's going on at this football club? Why are we selling a striker to bring a striker in? Look, this is opinion. 8 o'clock show. We do 8 o'clock show every night, yeah? In the transfer window, it's like this. And for 9 months of the year, it's completely different. And we actually have debates about football. And God, I'm craving it already, even though I thought the transfer window was going to be good. I'm craving September the 2nd, when we can't talk about transfers for 4 months. But when we're having those conversations, how many times do we sit there and go, as bad as Rasmus has been, in his first year, he was the only striker. And he needed a second experienced striker. And it should have been Martial, but he was injured more than Luke Shaw. And in his second year, we bring Xerxes in, who's not a striker. So, regardless of whether Rasmus is good enough or he stays or he doesn't, what's abundantly clear is, even if Rasmus had done well, you still need another striker. And this is where people get lost. Because they go, oh, no, we've got to sell Rasmus, he's shit, this, that, and the other. I don't mind keeping Rasmus because we need 2 strikers. We don't need 1, we need bloody 2. Have the club not realised this? Imagine Rasmus was actually really, really good and he'd scored 20 goals in both seasons. But halfway through the season, he does his hamstring and he's out for 6 weeks. Who scores the goals then? So, whether Rasmus is good enough or not, it's irrelevant when you're listening to stuff like, if Rasmus goes, they're going to bring Watkins in. So Watkins comes in, scores 10 goals in the first 10 games, breaks his leg, and then we're relying on Xerxes and a 17-year-old. We need 2 bloody strikers. We play a system where the striker's really important. If you're bloody Arsenal, or your Man City, or your Liverpool, their systems, you can probably get away with it. But we need 2 strikers. So why do we need to sell Rasmus to buy a striker? When has this been a thing? If we want a striker, we've got to sell our current striker. We need bloody 2. I thought we were coming into this summer with Rasmus might stay as the backup and we buy another striker. Or Rasmus goes and we buy 2 strikers. Now it looks like we've got to sell Rasmus to get a bloody striker. I mean, when's that been a thing? So that's the first thing I would say. As for Watkins and 60 million, he nearly went to Arsenal in January. Like they were looking at Sesko, they couldn't do the deal, so they looked at Watkins in the last few days, and basically Saudis came in and offered more for Duran. So Arsenal couldn't negotiate because Villa basically went, up yours, we've sold Duran, we don't need to sell Watkins. If Duran had stayed and Saudi hadn't come in, there probably would have been some negotiation there to sell Watkins. And it probably would have been about 50 million quid, not 60. But I'm not surprised that Villa's starting point might be 60 million pounds for Watkins, because, as we said this morning, it's all right saying get Emi Martinez from Villa or Ollie Watkins from Villa, but they don't have a striker. So they can't let Watkins go for 20 million. They need money to buy the replacement. They're not cash rich. So when they're selling Watkins, they want a price for Watkins. So, all right, they're probably not going to get 60, but they're going to start off around there. And United are going to start off at around 35. And then you know what happens. I just can't wait for the transfer saga to start. United are in concrete talks for Ollie Watkins. Let's say tomorrow, July the 3rd. When do you think we get a here we go on that? Tomorrow, hypothetically, we're in concrete talks with Aston Villa for Ollie Watkins. They want 60, we want to pay 35. When do you think we get the here we go on that? Because I'm saying autumn 2028. I mean, I just can't wait for that one. If it takes 5 weeks and we still haven't got a here we go with Mbeumo, and Brentford said we want 60 from day one and we paid that for Cunha and we still haven't agreed it. Imagine how long it's going to take when Villa wants 60 and we want to pay 35. I mean, I just can't wait for this. A player we probably shouldn't sign that we negotiate with for 2 months. I mean, just walk away from this one. Walk away from this one. This is a non-starter before it gets going. I think Ollie Watkins is a good player. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I think he's a good player, but he's 30 in December, and no, I hesitated there because I do like the player, but come on, no. This would be a deal that if Villa said to you, you can have him for 30. And Watkins says, I don't want anything more than 150k. You'd probably talk about it and go, is it worth the punt? You know, he's 30 in December, but he is Premier League proven. 30 million pounds, 150k a week. Is it worth the punt? There's no resale value. In a couple of years, he could be shit. 4-year contract. Do we do it? But not like this. I tell you what, I just got to say, Richard, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I'm really sorry, Richard, to use you. This is the sort of thing I talk about after the end of the show in that little extra bit. But Richard, I spotted it. And I'm going to have to say it. So I think Richard is the sort of person that wants to compare Watkins to Gyökeres. So Watkins is 30 in December. And Richard says Gyökeres is 28. And what these people do is they try to make out that Watkins and Gyökeres are basically the same age. Gyökeres is not 28. He's just turned 27. So he's 2.5 years younger than, well, in fact, yeah, he's 2.5 years younger than Watkins. So, Richard, you can't make that, you can't do that to try and make yourself feel better. They're nowhere near the same age. Absolutely not. Would you, so yeah, with Watkins, I think we've got to get real on this one. Good player, no doubt. Not walking away from Mbeumo, but I am walking away from this. Having said that, if that's the only offer in the shop, you might not be able to walk away. If this is it, and again, somebody on the morning show was going mad. Watkins is not plan D. Stop being so offensive. Stop being such an arsehole, Mark. He's not plan D. And I replied and I went, plan A was Delap. Obviously. We lost out. Plan B was Gyökeres. Obviously. We're still hanging about now. Plan C, little bit more sketchy, but I think when you think about the, Ornstein, Romano, and everybody that's mentioned that we did approach Ekitike, I would put Ekitike plan C. So what does that make Watkins then? Plan D. Sorry. 60 million is the minimum we're going to have to spend, whether it's Watkins or Gyökeres or Osman. It's a fair price for proven players. We complain because we're broke, says Jay. I don't complain. I don't complain. I don't know what Ollie Watkins is worth. I think you make a very good starting point. I would say Ollie Watkins at his age going into, and look, okay, let me give you the factors. He's 30 in December. He's out of favour with the manager. They clearly don't get on. Why is it okay to knock £20 million off Garnacho's fee because him and Amorim don't get on? And it's bloody obvious Watkins and Emery don't get on. I mean, did you see the Watkins interview when he was moaning about not playing? So he's not getting on with the manager. The manager doesn't want him. He's 30 in December. He plays for Aston Villa. They need money. 40. I think he's probably a 60. It's a bit like Garnacho, isn't it? Very similar to Garnacho. Garnacho's probably a £60 million player, and Watkins is probably a £60 million player if the circumstances are right. If he's scoring goals and Villa don't want to sell him, then he's probably £60 to £70 million. But in the situation, he's a £40 million player. But Villa won't take that. So you end up with this huge negotiating, and that's the thing that puts me off it. I don't want to spend the next 6 weeks negotiating with Aston Villa. Dagum Entertainment, thank you very much. Welcome to the Members Club. Appreciate that. This transfer window has been a shambles and slow. I think we will just see 3 players coming in, maybe 4, says Mohammed. Hope you're doing well. Heart of United's been a member for 23 months. Thank you very much. Would you sell Rasmus or Xerxes if one had to go, says CJ. I think the vast majority are going to say Xerxes. Rasmus. For me, I don't mind Rasmus being the backup striker. If we had Gyökeres or even a Watkins, I would like to have Rasmus as a backup striker because he is a striker who plays on the last man. But I like Xerxes, but I don't know where Xerxes is going to fit into this team. I don't want Xerxes to be a striker. I want him to be a 10. Watched a lot of him last season, especially from Christmas, and I think putting him up front, you lose so much. He's so much better dropping in. But you can't have a striker that drops in with 2 number 10s. So I don't know. For me, it's more 50-50 than I think it is for you lot. I like the idea of an out-and-out backup striker, and I don't think Xerxes is that. Hello, Mark. Who are your top 3 transfer targets, says JNX. Right now, my 3 top transfer targets are a striker, a goalkeeper, and a midfielder. Specifically, I'd still love Gyökeres or Osman. I would love a goalkeeper like Costa or Martinez, and I would love a midfielder like Richard Rios. I mean, I was listening to what Beth said today, and what a great show it was, because it was actually more about go get him than we're actually linked to him. Because we can do that. And I look at Richard Rios, and I see Newcastle and Forest chasing him for £25 million. And I guarantee you, he comes into the Premier League and we all go, why didn't we do that again? Bacardi, welcome to the Members Club. You're a legend. I've got mock A-levels paper in 3 hours and I'm watching, says Siabs. It's only a mock. Just do your best. Hello, Mark. Good afternoon. Do you think we'd be in a different position in this window if we had sold Bruno, says Guillermo? I mean, obviously, come on. If you sell Bruno and you've got £100 million in your pocket, you can't just sit there, can you? They would have had to do something to it. So Jim says, off topic, but special shout out to Morecambe FC fans going through this horrid time. And as United fans say, we have terrible owners, says Sir Jim. Yeah, nice shout out there. A lot of clubs going through some stuff at the moment, aren't they? Sheffield Wednesday, I was reading about the other day. Guy Fawkes says, I'm really concerned we don't get a midfielder. Mate, I'm really concerned we don't get a goalkeeper. I mean, yeah, it's... I saw something this afternoon in the Daily Mail. Nathan Salt in the Daily Mail. There is no expectation... Sorry, I'll read it properly. There is no real expectation that Andre Onana is going to move on this summer. That is disgusting. You know, I mean, look, amongst the disgusting failures of this football club so far, this summer transfer window, that's got to be right up there. Amrin wants a new goalkeeper. Wilcox wants a new goalkeeper. Onana decides his future. Only at Man United can you as a player decide what happens. Marcus Rashford, Garnacho, Jadon Sancho, Andre Onana, you decide your future at Manchester United. And until we change that, we will be shit. I mean, the amazing thing is, if you're of a certain age, I've seen legends play for this football club. I've seen Paul Scholes, I've seen Roy Keane, I've seen Cristiano Ronaldo, I've seen, Vidic, even going back further, Mark Hughes, Paul Ince, Cantona. I remember when we had Ince on the show, and he was like, as much as we were opinionated, top-level, arrogant players on the pitch, and we believed in ourselves as individuals and as a team, nobody went behind the gaffer's back. Nobody. The gaffer was in charge. You didn't, sneeze unless he said it was okay. And these are legends of the club with huge personalities, proper players, proper Man United players, and they wouldn't dare do anything without the manager's say-so. We've now got a shower of shit who basically say to the CEO and the manager, I ain't going anywhere. I ain't going anywhere. And we wonder what's gone wrong at this football club. And there it is. We've empowered players who decide their future. How can a manager and a director of football want to change a position, but the player in that position says, I'm not going anywhere. You're giving me a contract, I'm not going anywhere. And they do it. I tell you what, if he was at Man City, he'd be gone. If Onana was in goal for Man City, he'd be gone. Because he'd sit there and say, I'm not going anywhere. And Pep would say, you're not even sitting on my bench. You're training with the reserves. So you better get your agent to do a job, because I've just gone and spent £50 million on Costa, and he's my goalkeeper, and Ortega's going to be my backup. You're gone. You're not playing. So you can say you're not going anywhere. That's not actually true, mate. You're going to train with the kids. See you later. Fuck off. Because they're not in debt. They can go and buy the keeper and fuck that player off into the reserves. But at United, the players know they can say no, and they can't buy a replacement. So you basically sit there and go, I'm not going anywhere. I'm your goalkeeper. Crack on. And this is the debt. The debt causes this problem because we're not cash rich enough to buy the replacement and go, you're gone. You better sort something out because you're not the goalkeeper. Fuck off. And that's the biggest problem we've got. We have to sell to buy. And we put it out on every newslet and every newspaper and every news outlet. We've got to sell to buy. The players aren't stupid. They're on their phone as much as you are. Man United need to sell to buy. They want to get rid of you. Okay, I'm not going anywhere. It's one of the biggest problems we've got. We can't buy replacements because we can't sell players. And we can't sell players because they won't go because they're in control. And apparently everything's going to be great. Alonso says, thanks to this community and you, Mark, I was able to get my master's degree in public health in the US. Thank you to all for the news every day. Thank you, Alonso. Let us know where you're watching from. Alonso's out in the US. One Inch Wonder says, I've heard Sir Jim ask Amram to be our new midfielder. Hi, Mark. Trust you well, says Rizik. I'm singing I'm walking away from the Watkins and then Mbeumo's in my life. The bullshit we bought into believing Ineos can rescue us. They can't even rescue a drowning person in a dry riverbed, says Risek. Look, just on that, can I just go back to where I was? This story about Mbeumo, I'm calling bullshit. I think it's spin. I think it's all it is United are going to pay 60. And when they pay 60, they can sort of go, but Brentford wanted 70 and we've negotiated it down. That Brentford wants 60, we're going to pay 60, and we're going to look a bit stupid about how long we've taken. So they're just trying to make out like they've got a bargain. It'll happen. It could happen tonight. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen next week. It'll happen. It'll happen for 60 million. Like we've always known, Brentford wants 60 and we haven't offered it. When we do, it'll get done. I'm not stressing about that. Easily, I understand people if they are going mad, but I think it's been planted there to make us go mad. So we go, oh, it's all Brentford's fault. Just pay the 60 and they'll take it. Guy Fawkes says, really concerned we don't get a midfielder. Hi, Mark. Just for your attention, Hulman is pronounced Yulman. The H is silent in Danish, like the W in the name right. Love the show. Been watching here in Denmark for 5 years. Yulman. Well, Sergeant Barnes, obviously, I wouldn't know that. And it's probably the last time we'll ever mention him because we can't afford him. I think Amram would love Yulman, but we can't afford him. I think the only chance of a midfielder we might get is if this Sancho deal with Juventus happens and we can include Douglas Luiz as part of that. That's the only way I think we'll get a midfielder. But even if we did do that, we're still stacked. I still think United would say you've got 6 midfielders for 2 positions, like Collier, Luiz, Ugarte, Mainu, Bruno. I feel I've missed someone out. Casemiro. So I don't think Douglas Luiz would happen as part of the Sancho deal, even though I would like it to happen. I don't think we can carry that many people. Garnacho could swap shirts with Watkins, says Daniel. And Shahid says, since the beginning of Mbeumo negotiations, World War III started and finished, and we still haven't agreed on a fee. Last summer, says Patrick Lynch, we'd little knowledge about how Ineos did business. This summer, we have a clearer idea. Talk a good game, but they don't walk it. Everything they've said, they seem to do the opposite of. Difficult to trust that, says Patrick Lynch. Look, I'm not one to shout out Simon Jordan, but at the end of the day, if you shout enough shit, eventually you're going to speak some sense. And he did say, when we got Ineos at the start, right before everybody else, when everybody else was being really optimistic. And I put it down to bitterness because he's an ex-failed owner of a club and maybe he's a bit bitter about Sir Jim, I don't know. But he did say at the start, they've got a terrible track record in sport beyond cycling. If you look at Formula One, Mercedes have been shit. And if you look at Nice, they've been shit. And they came in with this big wave of we're going to do this, we're going to do that, strategic reviews, best in class. And realistically, where we are at the moment, look, things can change. I'll always say that, things can change. But where we are at the moment, how long are you going to sit waiting for it? I think there are some people going, I still back them. I still support them. I still think they're going to do a good job. And that's great. That is patience. But I think everybody else can sit here and say, based on the first 18 months, it's appalling. And they've basically backtracked and lied and gone back on most things they've said. And as we said a couple of days ago, if we are genuinely talking to Ollie Watkins, that is another complete and utter contradiction. I've heard either Barada or Sir Jim, or maybe both, literally say, we don't want to be buying expensive players coming towards the end of their careers anymore. Well, Watkins fits that bill completely. I'm not necessarily against buying players coming towards the end of their careers. I think you can buy a 29-year-old if you get it right that could be really, really valuable. But they said they weren't going to do that. We're talking about plan A's through to plan D, says Brandon, but I question how much of a plan there was after Cunha and Delap. To me, it seems like we are throwing darts at a wall blind and seeing what sticks. I've got to be fair. I do think, great questions again tonight, by the way, loving these shows because they're being driven by you predominantly. I've got to give myself some credit. Come on. I've got to be fair. Like, the information we got in early April was so particularly succinct and detailed. And we shared it on that Saturday morning show. It was incredible. And within 3 or 4 days, it was in The Athletic. And within a couple of weeks, everyone else was talking about it. And it was basically built around 3 core things. Delap is the priority. And I hated it when I got the update because I didn't like it. But you can't just, you know, when it comes in, you can't just go, I don't like it, we're not going to say it. So Delap was the priority. Chelsea, they felt they'd beaten them. And there was this obsession about Chelsea. And obviously, we didn't get the deal done. But I think we thought we were going to get the deal done. I genuinely think that we thought we had that deal. Now, I don't know. Only Liam Delap knows how close he was to coming to Manchester United. And maybe if we'd won the Europa League final, we would have Liam Delap, which I personally don't think's good enough. Although Fabrizio says, I mean, what I don't understand is Fabrizio said he was 99% sure that we would have got Gyökeres if we'd won the Champions League final. So were we going to get Delap and Gyökeres? I don't know. But Delap didn't come to us because we didn't win the finals. I don't know. Maybe we would have got Delap and Gyökeres and sold Rasmus. I don't know. I wouldn't have minded that. But what I do think, and I'm being fair here, is that not getting Delap has stunned that football club. Because, 1, they're obsessed with Chelsea, so that's going to hurt. 2, they thought they'd won the race. And 3, he was the priority. And I think it has kicked them in the nuts. When you look at what's happened with the striker since then, there's really not much of a plan, is there? Yes, we'd like Gyökeres, but he wants Arsenal. Yes, we'd like Ekitike, but he's too expensive. And now we're talking about Watkins, which if we do go for it, it's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So, yes, I would concede that whether I wanted Delap or not, it's very obvious that that has. I'm not saying it's. I'm not. I'm not saying it's acceptable. I'm not saying, oh, let's feel sorry for them. I mean, you should have. If you're going to manage a football, if you're going to run a football club like Manchester United or Liverpool, you can't just go, we didn't get plan A, we're devastated, what should we do now? You're going to miss out on people. But I don't think they've really recovered from not getting Liam Delap. Ricardo says, you said you think the Glazers will be here for decades. Does their and Ineos's plan just get to the regeneration plan done, placing the team second? Yeah. Yeah, in my opinion, all they really care about is the regeneration plan, because in 5 years' time, when it's built, they'll be very rich. And I don't necessarily think things are going to get a hell of a lot better in that time. If I was running that football club, I wouldn't give a shit about the stadium. Honestly, I wouldn't give a shit about the stadium, because success on the pitch will always feed everything off the pitch. You can't feed off the pitch with shit on the pitch. I mean, it's a football club. The clue is in the name. If you want to be building new stadiums and regeneration projects, you need a football team that's playing well. You don't do the regeneration project before the team. It's a football club. So my obsession at Man United, if I was in charge at the moment, would be, yeah, this is great. Everyone knows we're going to do that regeneration project. That's great. But we can't do that at the detriment of the team. So if it means parking that for 2 years, we'll plug up the holes, we'll paint the bloody stadium, we'll get a few new seats in. This is fine for another 7 years. As long as we're telling the fans that we are going to do it, but we've got to get good on the pitch. My priority would be get in the fucking Champions League and stay in it. There's so much money in it. It's £100 million a year. And every year we're not in it, it's killing us. We're falling further behind. That's what I'd be prioritising. But they're clearly prioritising this regeneration project. And by the time that stadium's built, how far will we be behind? It could be 7 years before that's built. And then the money's not going to flow in straight away, because you're still going to have to pay it off. Yeah. Hope you're well, and everyone as well. Tom Grant says not to get political, but it is in us just like the government, promising then just lying. Yeah. I mean, I'm not getting political either, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the UK at the moment where basically the party that got in has let everybody down. I'd still rather have Mbeumo and Gyökeres come by the end of August and pay 65 and 75 for them. For his first choice will come at a cost, says Hitton. Look, you know what? On a positive, if Manchester United sign Gyökeres and Mbeumo at any point between now and the end of August, we will all say it's a good signing, and we will all fall into the trap of excitement. But when we're shit in October, we will all suddenly wake up and go, well, that's because we were so late in the window. This is why I always say, I'm not going to sit here and write this transfer window off. You have seen United spend £130 million on Anthony and Casemiro in the last week of the window. You've seen United spend £60 million on Agate in the last week of the window. We can still buy these players, but what I'm saying is they're not coming in at the right time. And there is a direct correlation between having your players in for pre-season and having a good season and bringing them in late and having a bad season. And I think we're already staring down the barrel of bringing players in late, whoever they are, whether it's Watkins, Gyökeres, Mbeumo, a new goalkeeper, whether we sell Garnacho, Rashford or what. It's all going to be late in the window, and that's not going to help us, is it? Brand says, do you agree with Adi Alafipo and Andy Goldstein? I'd have to fucking watch them first, especially the knobhead, the second name. I don't know what they've said, mate. So if you want to tell me what they've said, I by all means will let you know. But yeah, no, I don't watch it, so I can't comment on it. Hi, Mark. Can you wish... Although, funnily enough, they still use my name in their tags for videos. Explain that one. Hi, Mark. Can you wish my wife, Christine, a very happy 20th wedding anniversary? She might not be happy, Martin. You're happy. She might not be happy. 20 years. Is she happy? Is she really happy? Are you sure? Martin, I'm messing. Happy anniversary to Christine, who is very happily married to Martin for 20 years. So big shout out to them. Hope you're having a great time. Hope you have a good night. 20 years, you should still be able to have a good night, unless you got married at like 55, 75. I don't know. But rough age that you get married is about 30, which puts you in your 40s. You should still have a good night. So Jim Radcliffe says, enough. Stop saying I'm cheap and broke. I can buy you and this channel because at the end of the day, I will carry us to glory. I hope you're right, Sir Jim. I hope you're right. United can't even do spin right, says Emily. The majority of fans and others in the industry will see through that Mbeumo story. Sources also have agendas, not just journalists. Emily, you are very intelligent. You're a regular commenter on this channel, and I couldn't have put it any better because you've done it in a sentence and it took me about 3 minutes. I don't believe that story tonight. I think it's client journalism where it's come through the club, out through a journalist who is credible. But we haven't offered what we offered for Cunha, and there's no way Brentford want 70, they want 60. And I think we will pay it. And I just think the reason the story's there is to make United look good when they pay 60, like we've negotiated it down. Just pay the 60 and get on to the next deal. I don't want a bloody party about what you paid. Senor David says, it's not ideal, but is it outside the realm of possibility we don't sign a centre forward, especially now that our new number 10s are both prolific? Senor David, nothing is outside the realm of possibility with a Glazer-owned Manchester United. I remember summers, and some of you will remember as well, where Sir Alex was in charge, and he used to say things like, there's no value in the market. Who remembers the Vidal summer? I thought we were going to get Vidal from Juventus, and he would have been perfect. We needed a midfielder. Schneider's another one. We needed a midfielder, and Vidal was playing for the Chilean Vidal was playing for Juventus. All summer, United are going to get him. He literally was getting on the plane to go to Asia for a Juventus tour, and it was like we expected somebody to just grab him and sign him. On the tour, you got United fans with United shirts, getting them signed by him. We never even put a bloody bid in. We never even moved on him. So this is not a new thing under the Glazers. The positions that you go into the summer that are absolutely essential to fill, and you hit the start of the season and you go, they haven't done it. They haven't bloody done it, have they? So, Senor David, nothing is beyond the realms of possibility. We need a striker. We need a goalkeeper. Our current goalkeeper, who has been bad for 2 years, is basically saying, I'm the goalkeeper next year. He's picking himself. The striker situation, God knows. So 2 essential positions not been filled. The hilarious thing is, going into this summer transfer window, nobody said we needed 2 number 10s. Everybody said 1 number 10, 1 striker, 1 midfielder, and a goalkeeper. Nobody said 2 number 10s. We're getting 2 number 10s. We're keeping Bruno, who basically is a number 10, playing in the midfield. We haven't got a striker yet. We haven't got a goalkeeper, and it doesn't look like we're going to get one, and it doesn't look like we're going to get a midfielder. So, at the end of the day, we're spending £120 million on 2 number 10s. I'd rather we only bought 1 and got a striker or a goalkeeper, but I do like Mbeumo and Cunha, and I have a feeling that they will work. But Carl Middlecoop says, thanks for an awesome show from South Africa. It has been another cracker. You are fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Make sure you keep tuning in. It has just hit 9 o'clock, and this happens a lot. We had 19,800 watching. It hits 9 o'clock, and certain people expose themselves as they run off for their titillation for the night by watching Love Island. And that can be women too, or men who like to look at men. It happens every year. 9 o'clock when Love Island's on, we have a drop of about 10% of the viewers. They've got the lube and they're off. Thanks for this community and you, says Alonso. I was able to have done that one from Alonso, haven't I? Okay, I think the goalkeeper is even more important than a striker, says Shahin. And Rahul says, why are we buying Mbeumo when we're stacked at number 10? We have no natural wing backs, most critical positions for this system. Shouldn't we invest there? Unless we're going to use Mbeumo out on the wing. If worse comes to the worst, says Robbie James, and this is our squad for next season, realistically, where can we place? Amram gets a pre-season with players, but is that enough? But these players can't play the system, mate. They played the Europa League final and they didn't have a bloody clue what to do. I don't know what people think is going to happen. Someone goes and has 2 weeks in Ibiza and they come back and they can play his system. You know, it's a cracking place to go, Ibiza, but it doesn't make you able to play a 3-4-3. I think the team as it stands at the moment with Mbeumo added on it finishes about 7th. I don't see it in the top 6. Do you think we'll panic buy a striker, says Dylan? Well, if we're talking to Ollie Watkins, you could argue that technically we are. Should we get Hackney from Middlesbrough, says Jackie? We know we should get Richard Rios, but we won't get either. Will we? We won't get either. Tavis says, the PR stunts make us look weak. We have very little leverage due to their brats. We need to sell. Pay the price for Brian now, says Tavis. Where's the 3rd bid from today? Mate, that was a guess. And fair play for the people who make the guess. Because if you make the guess and you look right, you can go, told you so, told you so. The third bid from Man United was a guess. It could still happen tonight. It could happen tomorrow. It might not happen this week. Which is why I'm just not... when it comes to Mbeumo, every morning I wake up, I see a clip from Fabrizio basically saying the same words in a different way. United are still pushing. They feel they can get the deal done. And Mbeumo has told everyone he wants to come to Man United. I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm sure at some point we'll get there. When United offer 60 million, it's done, basically. Ask United. If you were authorised to make one change in the board hierarchy at United, which you believe would regalvanise success instantly, what would that be? Look, I'm not getting rid of Wilcox or Barada because it's not going to make a bloody difference. The only board change I would make is to get rid of the owners. That's the only thing for me. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. And I'll speak to you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, there's always a little bit extra, isn't there? I spoke about it this morning, actually. Seb Sports Day today. And somebody in the chat actually had a go at me. I was late for the morning show this morning. It normally starts at 10, starts at 10:30. I'd been at Seb Sports Day from 9 o'clock and it overran, as they always do. So I started the show at 10:30. And I'd literally just got in and I said, you know what? I've got 2 daughters as well. So I've been going to sports day for years, and it's always been the same. When I used to go to sports day, right, when I was a kid, you run a race. If you didn't finish in the top third, you got if you didn't finish in the top 3, you got nothing. Nothing. And there was a guy in my class, I couldn't stand him. I was better than him at everything, football, everything, but he was quicker than me. And he had a rubbish run as well. When he used to run, it was like a bloody earthquake. His feet used to slam on the floor like he was wearing a pair of flippers. And I did everything in my power. Like the month before sports day, I'd be in the back garden doing sprints. I had to beat him. And it was the final year of primary school. I had to beat him. I was obsessed by it. People would say, are you playing football at lunch? I'd be like, no, I'm doing sprints. Anyway, comes to the race and got off to a good start. And I can hear him behind me. He's in my head. Bloody paddle foot. Beats me. And I'm doing everything. I'm swimming through the air trying to find an extra. And he beat me. And I was absolutely gutted. And he gets the sticker and I'm absolutely gutted. And it lives with me to this day. And, you know, my mates from school say, yeah, but you were the king of 3 in a hoop. And 3 in a hoop, oh, this is, I don't know why they don't do this at the Olympics. So you know them hoops that you used to have at school, them plastic hoops? You get 3 people in it and then you run a sprint. And the one at the front wins. And it's hilarious as well because the carnage is brilliant. Now, we did one sports day in the rain. We won it 4 years in a row. That's bloody hard to do considering you leave primary school at 11. So I'd have been 7 and I got called up into 2 11-year-olds ring. Anyway, we won it. And my second to last year that we won it, we did it in the rain. And people were like, they'll mess it up, and we didn't. It was carnage. But anyway, my point is, when I used to do sports day, the best person won. And the crap person was last. And I think it's character building. I think it's actually what life's all about. You know, in life, unfortunately, somebody's better than you. I wanted to be a professional footballer. I really wish I had been. But everybody who made it was better than me. But that's the way it is. I go to these sports days now, and with all respect, it's not the school's fault. It's directed from the Prats at the top, isn't it? There is no race where one person wins. There's no individualism. It's all put into teams. And within those teams, there's people who are good, and then there's people who are shit. So they do these like relays where it's like, you know, egg and spoon, weave in and out, to the front and back, pass it to the next person, there you go. So, like, you could have a kid that's really good at egg and spoon and he blasts everybody, passes it to someone else, and, you know, they're fucking rubbish. And then it goes through six people, and the team that's got the least rubbish people win it. But the best person at egg and spoon doesn't win a thing. And I just think it's incredible. I don't know what we're teaching people. Like, winning's bad. Winning's bad. I know you're shit at something, but you can have a sticker as well. I'll tell you what, we're setting these people up for all sorts when they're older, because they're going to go for a job and they're going to be, you didn't get the job. Why? Because we gave it to them. Why? Because they're better qualified than you and they interviewed better than you. That's not fair. When I was at school on sports day, he was quicker than me, but I got a prize. Yeah, well, you're not getting a job. Why? Can I make a complaint? Why can't you give me the job, even though they're better than me? Does my head in. Does my head in. I mean, what is wrong with winning and teaching people about winning? You might be rubbish at running, but you might be good at chess. You know, you might be rubbish at the egg and spoon race, but you might be quite good at the violin. You know, stick in your lane. And I'm not just saying geeks aren't very good at sport, but, you know, when I was at school. Jem says, did you do the dad race? No. I mean, look, this is another thing, right? There's 2 things that make me laugh about school. You know, when parents go to school, there's 2 things that make me laugh. You've got the mum and dad's race on sports day, where the mums and the dads race, right? Over the years, it gets worse and worse. People turn up in sprinting shoes, shorts and a vest, and they're stretching. I'm lying about the vest, but they are, you can tell they're turning up like, oh yeah, I'm just a normal dad. But I look at the shoes and I go, they're bloody running shoes. They're bloody running shoes, they are. You look at, they take it dead seriously, and I'm like, I want to win. And I'm a lot older than a lot of them. I'm into my 40s. Some of these dads are in their late 20s. So it's not even a fair race. And I've got a bad hip. So I'm like, I'm not doing this. There'll be some idiot filming it as well. So I'm not interested. But the other thing that makes me laugh about these parent functions thing is, you know, like some schools on Bonfire Night, which is November the 5th in the UK. So Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the House of Parliament. Not last week. It was like 1700s, I think. So every bonfire night, we commemorate it by having a fire because he tried to blow up the House of Parliament. And there's fireworks and everything. And a lot of schools have these for fundraisers. They'll have a fire and, you know, a beer tent and hot dogs and all that. What I always find fascinating about this, right, is when the fireworks display happens, the amount of people who, when the fireworks display goes on, get their phones out and start filming the fireworks display. Now, some of you in the chat will be one of those prats. Explain to me, when the fireworks are happening and you're meant to be living in the moment at actual fireworks, looking at them, like it happens once a year, you can look in the sky at these fireworks that you don't normally see and just enjoy it. Why would you choose to film it so that at a later date you might watch it, which you won't? Why do people film fireworks displays when they could just watch it every year and enjoy it? Why are you filming it? Who sits there in the middle of May and goes, oh, I've got a fireworks display here. Get the Kleenex out. I'm having a wank. Oh, wow. Can I simultaneously? I just don't get people who film fireworks display. I get people who go to concerts, like Oasis are doing concerts. You hold your phone up and you might want to film it for, you know, later. I was there, this is Wonderwall, etc. But filming a bloody firework display. Also, it's dark. It's not going to be good, no matter how good your phone is. Weird. But it's full of people doing it. Full of it. To post it on social media. That's even worse. That's even worse. If I was on Instagram and somebody goes, look at the firework display I was on, I'm like, unfollow. I've been to my own firework display. Unless I've got a firework fetish, and, you know, again, you've got the Kleenex out late on November the 5th, and you're like, oh, I've just been to the best fireworks ever. I'm stonking here. Get me on Instagram. Oh, another one. Oh, God, look at this one. He's posted one as well. Oh, my God. I'm living the dream. Oh, I'm going to be dry. Oh, God. Who goes on Instagram to want to watch somebody's uploads of firework displays on a bloody iPhone, whatever? I don't know. Anyway, I could go on and on. Thanks everyone for watching. I've still got 15,000 people watching. This is probably doing better than the Mbeumo story. Yeah, okay. I better go. Guy Fawkes says, thanks for celebrating me. Jackie Boy says, I remember my last sports day. I was so close to winning the race and I pulled both hamstrings and got last place. Couldn't walk right for 2 weeks. This is the problem. You overstretch, literally. Yeah. You have to get in the comments with things that you don't understand people doing, because there's just so many. There's so many things out there that I just don't understand why people do it. And I think there's a lot of things that people take pictures of and film because they see other people doing it. But if you actually said to everybody, why are you filming this? You know, even at school, I don't know whether you can do this. I mean, I'd never do this, but I think at school sports days, some people let you film your own kids, like running their race. I don't think many people are going to watch them, you know, watch their, you know, child who's crap at sports finish third in the egg and spoon race. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Speak to you all in a bit.